Phosphorus cycle. Phosphorus is primarily found in rock and phosphorus mineral, where these rocks weather and erode, and phosphorus ion are released into the soil and water. Plant absorb the dissolved phosphorus ion from the soil through their roots, utilizing for growth and development. Animal obtain phosphorus by eating plant, thus incorporating it into the bodies. When plant and animal die, decompose or break down their organic matter, releasing phosphorus back into the soil as inorganic phosphate. Some of the released phosphorus can be carried by a runoff water into streams, river, and eventually oceans, where it can settle in the sediments over time. And geological uplifting, in that also over very long period geological process can uplift these sedimentary rocks and which contains phosphorus, exposing them to weathering and restarting the cycle. Phosphorus does not have significant gaseous phase, unlike carbon and nitrogen cycle, so it moves primarily through the soil and water system. Phosphorus cycle is considered relatively slow compared to the other biogeochemical cycle due to long time scale and involving in the rock weathering and geological uplift. Human activity like fertilizer can be significantly impact the phosphorus cycle by adding excess phosphorus to ecosystem, leading to the issue like eutrophication in water bodies. Sulphur cycle. Sulphur cycle is sedimentary cycle with a gaseous component, and its main reservoir is soil and sediment, where it is locked in both organic and inorganic depositions. If we break down the sulphur cycle, sulphur storage, sulphur is stored in the organic depositions like coal, oil, and peat, as well as inorganic depositions like pyrite rock and sulphur rock, and these depositions contain sulphur in the form of sulfate, sulfide, and organic sulphur. Release of sulphur, it is released in the environment through weathering or rock erosion, runoffs, and decompositions of organic matter. This release of sulphur is carried out by the terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem in the salt solution. If we see the gaseous compound, the sulphur cycle is primarily sedimentary, but it has gaseous compound due to the two compounds are hydrogen sulfide and sulfur dioxide. Atmospheric entry, the sulfur enter the atmosphere through various sources including volcanic eruption, combustion, and fossil fuels such as coal and diesel. The ocean surface and gaseous release by decomposition. If we see atmospheric hydrogen, that is the sulfides H2S, is oxidized into sulfur oxide, that is SO2. Then acid rain, atmospheric sulfur dioxide is dissolved in the rainwater and returned to the earth as a weak sulfuric acid, which is in the form of an acid rain. The uptake by plant absorbs sulfur in the form of sulfate, incorporating it into sulfur bearing amino acid, which is then it becomes a part of the protein in autotrophic tissues, and this sulfur then moves through the grazing food chain, and sulfur is returned. Then the sulfur is returned in the soil at the bottom of the pond, lake, and sea through excretion and decomposition of dead organic matter. Phosphorus cycle is sedimentary cycle where the main storage of phosphorus is in earth crust. If phosphorus is a mineral in the phosphate rock, it enters the cycle through erosion and mining activities on land. Phosphorus is found in phosphate, and in weathering and erosion, it causes phosphate to enter rivers, stream, and eventually the oceans. In the ocean, phosphorus accumulated on the continental shelves as insoluble deposits, and over a million of years, crystal plate rise from the sea floor, exposing the phosphate on the land. Weathering release phosphate from the rock, beginning the cycle again. Phosphorus is considered the main cause of excessive growth or of rooted and free floating microscopic plants, that is the phytoplanktons in the lakes, which lead to eutrophications. And phosphorus play a central role in aquatic ecosystem and water quality.